Hello and welcome to another episode of the Daily Chat Podcast, where we talk about all things awesome and nerdy. Ladies and gentlemen, today I have a special guest on my show today. We have Chris Dunham. Chris, say hi to everybody.
Hey everybody, how are you?
Hey. So, Chris, thanks for being here. Thank you for being on the show for the first time. And today we're going to be talking about something that might be one of the top, I want to say, 3 nerdiest franchises of all time. We've talked about it once or twice on the show before. We're going to talk about Star Wars, because you and I are actually pretty big Star Wars fans.
We are, and I think we agree on a lot of stuff, and we disagree on things as well. That's what makes it interesting.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, let's just start from the very beginning. Star Wars has had a big impact on my life, and I know it's had a big impact on your life, so let's start from the beginning. How old were you when you first saw Star Wars?
I was 2 years old. I was in the front row of the movie theater when Empire Strikes Back came out.
Okay.
So, or maybe I was a little less than 2. The only part that I even remember is Hoth. I didn't know it as Hoth until I was older, but I fell asleep because I was I was a little kid. So that was my first memory. It's just, I remember being really close to the screen and just snow in the walkers.
Okay. All right. Yeah. For me, I was actually, I was a little bit older. The first time I saw Star Wars, I think I was like maybe 6 or 7, something like that. And my grandmother showed it to me. She showed me, and I saw it on VHS.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and she put it in the VHS player, and she showed me Return of the Jedi first.
Oh, wow. That's it.
She didn't know anything. She didn't know any better. Like, she was like, Star Wars, okay. I'm sure they'll like this.
It's all the same.
It's all the same. There's no real narrative to this. Whatever. So, of course, I'm watching this the whole time. I'm going like, wait, who's this big guy in the black suit that looks really cool and scary? And what's this dude with the green lightsaber? And why should I really care about, like, this princessy lady and this smuggler dude? And then, a little while later, I saw A New Hope, and I finally saw the whole trilogy in its proper order. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
So,
and so interesting that it wasn't even called A New Hope when it was released.
Yeah, right?
It's just called Star Wars.
Yeah. That's a weird thing. So how old were you say though when it finally took over though? Because you said when
I would say when Return of the Jedi came out.
Okay. And
that's because by that time I was close to 5 years old, so you can really as a kid get into stuff. I had all the figures,
Right.
God, man, we even had the glasses from Burger King that were. I would love to get a set again. Sometimes I go on eBay to see if they have Empire and Return of the Jedi, but for me it was the big connection to it was the Force.
Mm-hmm.
And I love to this day if somebody asked me if I was forced at gunpoint to pick a religion, I would choose
the Jedi.
The Force.
The Force. Okay.
And
fair enough.
Just because when you go back and you look at the things that this little green Buddha was saying,
mm-hmm.
Oh my God, dude! He's spouting such truth that can apply to your own life even as an adult. But
mm-hmm.
as a little kid, it's harder to understand it. But it just seems, I think as human beings, we want to connect to something that is so deep and old and ancient and be a part of something that's greater than ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And be on the side of good.
Okay. Or what we think is good.
Do what we think is good.
Right.
But then, I was going to say real quick, then you grow up and you realize that life is more gray than black and white, so now you identify more with Han Solo. Exactly.
You're like, nope. Yeah, I've read articles about this before too, where they talk about how when you're a little kid, most children would say that their favorite character when they first see Star Wars is Luke Skywalker. Because he's the main protagonist, and then all of a sudden, you realize, he's the representation of good, and you want to be good when you're a little kid, and Darth Vader represents evil, you don't want to be him and everything like that. But then when you get older, everybody just wants to be Han Solo.
Yeah.
Everybody just wants to be Han Solo, because he is the only one that seems, at least when you first meet him, he's the only one that seems remotely content with his life.
And he understands that life is what it is, and he's just trying to get by.
Exactly.
You know, and there's something. He's just everything you kind of want to be. Luke, you go back, and Luke's like, "Hey guys, blah blah blah. I want to go to the academy." And you see Han Solo is just he's arrogant.
Yeah.
But he's also good at what he does.
Well, that's open for interpretation.
Okay.
But anyway, go on.
And also, I mean, he gets the girl.
Yeah, he does get the girl.
You know, Luke helps to save the universe or the galaxy or whatever, but it looks like he's the one that ends up lonely.
Right. I mean, let's see how well that robotic hand he's got by Return of the Jedi works, right?
Yeah.
If you get what I mean. So what would you say is one of your your fondest memory of Star Wars in general, or anything Star Wars related, would you say?
I would probably have to say, number one was all the conversations that I would have with my brother and my friends before the prequels came out.
Oh, okay.
Of what we thought they would be, and coming up with our own ideas of what the story could be. And then I would probably have to say the second biggest time that I've geeked out and was very important to me was when I found out that the Star Wars despecialized.
Mm-hmm.
And that a Star Wars nerd over in Europe had restored the trilogy in near Blu-ray quality to exactly how you would have seen it in the theaters.
Right.
And it took them 5 years. They're absolutely beautiful. And being able to get those and then share them with my friends and I bought all these USB drives and I sent them across the country.
Okay.
There's even a documentary of making of, and that was so important to me because I called it Star Wars, Your Childhood Restored.
Okay.
And so that was great. And being able to watch it with my friends.
Okay. For me, I would have to say it's just simply sitting around and talking with my friends. When we were younger, we would play with the action figures and everything like that. We'd recreate the battles of Hoth and everything like that.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff. But I've had some in-depth conversations with my friends about everything like that too, staying up until like 2:00 in the morning, passing the bong around and everything like that. So, I mean, you know how it goes with like guys and nerdy stuff. We're just always like, every 5 minutes, it's just one of us going like, dude, what if Vader had to fight Voldemort?
For us, it was always the philosophical nature of the Force, you
right.
know, and because the Force is just life, right, and it's an energy, but it can be used. I remember how you talk about nerding out, is we used to refer to Hitler as a Sith because he understood the energy, but he was using the same the same things that he could have used, his ability to bring people together, he used to destroy people, right? Mm-hmm. But it's still the same charismatic leader or the same drawing from the same energy. And, because you listen to like a Malcolm X speech, or not a Malcolm X, but Martin Luther King, right? Mm-hmm. And then who could rouse people to be better, and then like Hitler. So, but there are people that are still drawing from the same energy source in a way. Right. And so that always kind of appealed to me. Okay. And I guess when I got older, I was also realizing how the Force kind of, parts of it does mimic Christianity, but then there's also the aspects of like Buddhism and everything in it.
Mm-hmm. One of the most interesting things I actually learned, if we want to dip our toes a little bit into the whole religious side of it, or where the Force obviously draws its inspirations from real life religions, is I learned recently that, did you know that there's a Hebrew inscription on Darth Vader's chest plate?
Oh, no.
Yeah, it says something to the effect of "he who seeks redemption" or something like that. Like something that's very like deep and connected to what the character is and what he's been doing.
Yeah. It's so weird too when you get older and you realize the story, especially when you look at the prequels, the story was not about Luke Skywalker. The story is really about the
big bad guy,
the fall, of Anakin Skywalker and the redemption of him. Right. Even though it centers, but if the prequels wouldn't have existed, you never would have thought of it that way.
Exactly.
But there was a picture of Vader that someone had drawn like fan art, and it had him with his helmet off, and it made me almost tear up. It was a single tear coming down the side, and you could just feel his pain. That's what something too I thought was kind of cool about Vader that they did in Rogue One, is really showing the pain that he was still in, even though he was in the suit. He wasn't comfortable in that suit. He had to be in a bacta tank as those the only way he could avoid the pain of
wearing the suit
and all of the burns, because those burns, from what I understand, can last like periods of time and also can sear into your memory. And phantom limbs and all that. That's why he was moving, and it's hard. Oh, it's awesome.
I mean, are you familiar with the YouTube series Death Battle?
No.
What they do is they do what every single nerd does, is they take two characters from different franchises.
Wait, are you talking about the Batman and Darth Vader one?
No, that was somebody different. That was
incredible.
That was different people. That was Bat in the Sun Superhero Beatdown.
Okay.
I've seen that one too, but this one they did Darth Vader versus Dr. Doom, and I'm gonna tell you, I enjoy Death Battle better, just because I like the fact that they actually use like legitimate science, or they use actual mathematics and science to prove their point, whereas the other guys, although it's good, it's well choreographed, and I like seeing the live action stuff, they just go on fan votes.
Okay.
So, there's that whole thing. But the point I'm trying to get at, though, is before they were talking about Darth Vader, and they said that his suit was purposefully designed by the Emperor to make sure he was not comfortable at all, in true Sith fashion.
Yeah, and it's weird, too, when you're growing up, you don't realize like how much of him actually is, when he's more machine now than man, or whatever. But you don't know that. But then when you see him in that bacta tank in Rogue One, oh my God, man, it's just.
And it's only for a second.
It's only for a second.
Yeah,
and that's still one of my favorite scenes in that movie.
And it's and he's being contained on Mustafar, where he had his greatest defeat.
Yeah.
So the Emperor just was like, "You're not going anywhere but there. Like, you don't get to live anywhere but where you got your legs cut off." Because you decided to challenge Obi-Wan in his high ground.
I've kind of seen some of those meme things on Reddit. Mm-hmm. The high ground or whatever, but I really have never gotten into it. I don't know if you have at all.
Apparently, there are two subreddits called sequel memes and prequel memes.
Oh. Okay.
And apparently, they're at war. They're having a war with each other right now. I don't know what that's all about. I haven't checked it out, but I find the subreddit culture to be very interesting at times.
Oh, yeah. Well, Reddit's amazing because of the anonymity that you have.
Oh, yeah.
It allows it to be what you wanted social media to be in the first place. It's a more open discussion sometimes about whatever it is. And it's cool because, it can be an echo chamber because you have to subscribe, or you don't have to, but if you want to be a part of it. But it's cool. It's like whatever you're into, you can find it there. I purposely unsubscribe from the Star Wars whenever it gets close to, or anything that could be even spoiler related. I don't want to see anything.
No. The closest thing I will get to anything spoiler related for a Star Wars or just any kind of movie I'm looking forward to is I will look to see who's playing who. Like who they're getting for the cast. You know what I mean? Like for this Han Solo movie coming out, which not too excited about, but I'm reading, they're going to get Donald Glover to play Lando Calrissian. I'm like, okay, I like Donald Glover.
I think he's going to make that movie.
Oh, he's going to be the best part of that movie, I think. I think Woody Harrelson has the potential to as well, but that's just because he's Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I kind of feel bad for that kid, Alden Ehrenreich.
The one that's playing Han.
Because first of all, there was a kid. I say kid like I'm this old guy now, but I kind of feel there's this one kid that who actually I forgot his name, but actually sounds and looks like a young Harrison Ford, and he played the young Harrison Ford in Age of Adeline, and once you see it, you're gonna go, wait, is that Harrison Ford's kid? There's even a picture of him next to Harrison Ford, and you're like, yeah, that's his kid, right? And you're like, no, he even sounds like him. But they went with Alden because of the fact that they view him as a rising star. But it's so hard. Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor can play a young Obi-Wan. He captures the essence of it. And that's the thing that's going to be tough is like, can you capture the essence of a character?
Right.
You know, because anyone can forgive that if you can capture the essence of it.
Right. Like, a lot of people are freaking out right now because they're just saying, oh, this kid's not my Han Solo. I'm like...
Not my Solo.
Not my Solo. To which I'm just like, it's a prequel, so I'm willing to forgive it. You know what I mean? Like that they're getting somebody who's not Harrison Ford.
Well, I look at it now is I got Rogue One, you know, and unless I'm just gonna wait till reviews. If someone that I like says, hey, I know how much you like Rogue One, you should check this out, then I'll go see another Star Wars movie. Mm-hmm. Until then, I'm done.
Done with Star Wars altogether, or?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Huh. Because there's different, the interpretation of Star Wars that I like, you know, and it is almost like a religion, is the original trilogy. And I'm cool with it. I look at it, there's 3 different visions. There's the prequels, the original trilogy, and then the new stuff. Mm-hmm. And Rogue One fits into the old trilogy.
Right.
So if they make movies that are like that, like I said, I'm cool. But other than that, I just don't really enjoy it. It's not the Star Wars. It's like going to a restaurant, right? And you love pizza, but they don't serve pizza the way that you want it. You're just like, well, I just want to order pizza. Whatever.
Right.
At first, I was upset because it's so different.
Right.
But now I look at it and like, it's just a different vision.
The way I see it is, I mean, I am like most Star Wars fans of my age when I say that the original trilogy is the best and nothing will top Empire. Nothing will top The Empire Strikes Back.
The Empire is probably a top 10 movie of all time.
Yeah.
That it's so good that even my buddy who's a film aficionado was like, yeah, it may be in my top 3. It's one of the most watchable movies over and over again. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful.
One time at work, actually, I just went on YouTube. I probably shouldn't be saying this, but I just quit that job, so it doesn't matter. But I was actually online, and I just went on YouTube, and I watched the lightsaber battle between Luke and Vader. And honestly, just something about seeing that whole scene. But it doesn't matter how many times I've seen it, where he reaches his hand out and says, "Join me, and we can rule the galaxy together as father and son." And then Luke just jumps off. Just, I don't know what it is, but something about that, the weight of that scene, even if I haven't been watching the whole movie, like, I've seen it enough times, I already get it, but, like, I can still feel the weight of that scene.
Now, imagine that you don't know, it's 1980. You go in hearing about this Yoda character. He turns out to be a green little guy. That's the most powerful Jedi alive.
Voiced by Grover.
Right? And then you find out that Vader is Luke's father. What
yeah.
It must have, I can't even imagine what it must have been like in the theater. I bet they went like this.
Go online and look up on YouTube videos of kids' reactions to learning about the reveal.
If they don't know?
Yeah, no. It's like seeing the reveal that Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father. You see, like, these 9-year-old kids, their jaws are hitting the floor.
Yeah, it redefined that series. Just those 3 movies completely redefined movie making in general.
Oh, the best part about the Battle of Hoth was, you know, up until that point, all action movies, you saved the big action set piece for the end. They used the big action set piece to close the first act.
Oh, I never even thought of
which never happened in movies before.
Because we're so used to just seeing special effects and everything.
Right.
But yeah, imagine what that must have been like on a big screen to... But
what I'm trying to say, though, is, like, you can even see the effects of that happening to this day in some regards. Like I said before, you know, in older, up until Empire Strikes Back, action movies, you always had the big action set piece at the very end to end the movie. You know, big, huge, blow up the Death Star, that's it, let's go home, let's celebrate, we're good. Whereas, you know, that one, you know, you see this big action set piece on a snow planet, the rebels lose. And then what I'm trying to get at, though, is, like, you can see the effects of how just even a small little change like that could affect it. Because when I saw Captain America Civil War, the big action set piece, have you seen Civil War?
I haven't seen it.
Okay. All I'm going to say is, because I try not to give spoilers to my guests.
You're awesome, dude. Yeah. Thank you.
The big action set piece closes the second act of that movie.
Huh.
So it's like it's not the same thing as closing the first act, but the point I'm trying to get at though is
moving it around.
Moving it around, exactly. It's just the whole idea, just such a simple idea of, like you can't make this movie and put the big action set piece at the end of the first act, George Lucas, and he just went, why? And then no one could give him an answer. At least that's what I imagine happened. I don't know if that's exactly what happened.
Well, it's the same thing, with how they release movies. I forgot which movie it was that they released in either January or February, when the studios typically dump movies.
Right.
And the movie did so well that's why we now have a blockbuster once a month.
Right.
If you look at it, there's an event.
It was Deadpool.
Was it Deadpool?
I think it was Deadpool, because Deadpool was made on a shoestring budget.
No. But I'm talking, it was a movie, I'd have to find out, but it was a movie that they dumped because they didn't think it would do well. Deadpool, they expected to do well.
No, they didn't.
Really?
The studio was expecting Deadpool to fail.
Oh.
Because
I think it was even before Deadpool came out. But if I find it, I'll pass it along.
Yeah.
I'll ask my buddy Adnan. He'll know.
Okay. Anyway, what were you saying?
But now every month, there's an event going on.
Yeah.
Right? And, with all the movies, I haven't watched a lot of the superhero movies. And the only one I've seen in the past few years, well, maybe 2 years, and I've watched it like 6 times, is Logan.
Logan was good.
I love Logan.
Mm-hmm.
Because that thing is a movie first. That's a film first,
yeah,
and a superhero movie second.
Oh yeah, totally agree.
And I didn't get to see it. They actually released it in black and white in theaters for one day.
Oh my God,
because that movie is better in black and white. I think it was Orson Welles that said that everything is better in black and white, but I can't remember who. I think it was him, because what it does is it focuses your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But on the Blu-ray copy of Logan is a copy of the black and white version. I've now seen the black and white version more than the color.
I have to check that out then, actually. I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's great. Because it's more of a gritty 70s film. I almost wish they would go and dirty up the film, too.
Actually, I would argue it's older than that, because what's the movie that they keep...
Shane.
They keep... the whole movie is just a direct parallel to Shane.
Yeah.
From what I've been told. I've never seen Shane. But yeah, I know. I know. That's the same reaction everybody who's seen Shane gives me whenever I tell them that. But
that's the one great thing about older movies, just like music or books or whatever, is that over time, all the stuff that really wasn't that good just goes to the wayside. So that's why people are like, movies were so much better back in the day. It's like, no, the only movies people talk about were the good ones.
Exactly.
We're coming out with movies all the time. And there's a huge list. If you ever get a chance, I think it's AFI, top 100 or top whatever. Print it off and go through and try to watch like the top 100 of all time. It's just, there's so many good movies.
Right.
Right? And people just get lost because we're just bombarded with them all the time.
Right. It's also different nowadays too, because studios are, like, Disney's pumping out like 10 movies a month.
Well, they pretty much are releasing a major movie. I mean, do you realize how big the Marvel Universe is now?
I'm a bigger fan of it than you are. Yes, I do. I'm well aware. It's insane.
Because it's crazy.
I mean, and here's the thing, though.
And I don't know enough to even talk about it.
Okay, we're veering off topic a little bit here, but that's okay. We tend to. But basically, when it comes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you have the movies, then you have the network TV shows that they've tried to do, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Agent Carter, etc. Then you have the Netflix shows like Daredevil, Punisher, Jessica Jones, which are great, by the way. I recommend most of those to everybody except for Iron Fist and The Defenders, which is a letdown. Then they've also got some stuff happening on Hulu, and then they've also got something coming out on Freeform in a couple of weeks.
Actually, it's funny that you mentioned Daredevil. They have a scene in Daredevil which they didn't even try to do again. There's a fight scene that you could tell is uncut.
Which
in the
show?
First season of Daredevil, it's beautiful. It reminds me of. Have you seen the movie? It's
Old Boy.
No, not Old Boy. There's oh God, where it's almost like, remember the movie that game Kung Fu where you go up levels?
No.
Oh, you don't remember that on the original Nintendo? You just kicked the crap out of people, and then you moved up a level, kicked the crap out of more people, so you get to the big boss at the top of the building. Mm-hmm. They basically made a movie that looks like that. And I gotta remember what it is, but it's just it's like one cut where it's like
the hallway fight scene, right?
Yes,
is that one? Yeah.
Do you know what movie I'm talking about now?
No, I don't know what movie. The movie I think of when I see that scene is Old Boy, the Korean version, the original Korean version, not the Josh Brolin remake.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, with the original Korean version.
No, I haven't.
Or
maybe I have. No, I think that's the one I've seen. I haven't seen the.
I don't know. I haven't seen it, but at any rate.
But that's. I was actually just talking, since we're talking about Marvel, I was talking to my brother about this last night. As I said, what Marvel's done is all of their superheroes that don't have a lot of superpowers, or that they've made those into TV shows and made them more well-rounded characters.
Right.
If they could do it over again, they probably wish that they could take Black Widow. She'd be perfect for a TV show.
She would. A lot of people want to have a Black Widow solo movie. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I personally would rather see her get the Netflix treatment.
Because it's like, sign Scarlett Johansson, pay her money, get one season out of it, right? Do 10 episodes. That thing could be badass.
It would be. Did you know, though, since we can segue into it, did you know, though, that Disney is now planning on making live-action Star Wars TV shows?
That I'm not surprised by.
No, that was only a matter of time.
Yeah, and because the Star Wars universe, just like the Marvel universe, it's so rich and just waiting,
right?
You know, and there's so much more. That was one of the best things about Rogue One, is that other than Vader, you know, for the most part, you saw an entire side of the universe the galaxy that you weren't used to.
And to be quite honest with you, that is what I enjoyed most about it. One thing I'm looking forward to, I know Rian Johnson has gotten some flack for The Last Jedi, and we can get into that in a little bit, but he says that he's going to be in charge of the next Star Wars trilogy, and he says that that's not going to have anything to do whatsoever with the Skywalker clan. And I'm going to be completely honest with you, I am looking forward to that because I'm sick and tired of all this family drama fucking up an entire galaxy.
Well, it's also, I think it would be really great to go way back in time.
Yeah!
Because the video game people have told me about, the Knights of the Old
Republic.
That's just waiting for movies.
It really is.
And it could be so much fun, because then you could go back, think about this, 700 years and Yoda is still only 100 years old.
Right. Only 100.
Yeah. He's still a kid, you know?
Basically, yeah. That's nuts. So if you had to pick your favorite absolute Star Wars movie, which one would it be? I'm assuming it's Empire.
It's Empire.
Okay. I guess we don't need to go into that. Well, why don't we get into it? Because we just had it, and there's still apparently a lot of backlash happening to it. Why don't you give me your full opinion about The Last Jedi?
It's just, you know, I could go on and on about it, but really, I thought that it was a beautiful movie. Mm-hmm. I think that Last Jedi will go down as... The Last Jedi is so bad that it made me like The Force Awakens. Because we went back, my buddy and I, literally, we went back going, there's no way that movie was that bad. We went back and watched The Force Awakens and went, oh my God. We started going, wait, The Force Awakens isn't as bad as what we thought it was, comparing it to that. Now, it's a different style of filmmaking, so you got to take things out, such as plot. There's so many plot holes. You know, it's more, that's the thing, I don't like that style of filmmaking where it's made more so as an amusement park ride instead of solid storytelling. That's what made the original trilogy so good to me. Mm-hmm. And the depth of the characters and rooting for them. It's weird. There were certain things that thematically that happened that go completely against even what Star Wars is about. Mm-hmm. You know?
Such as?
Okay, perfect example is Star Wars. One of the main themes of Star Wars is putting away your own individual goals, right, or whatever. People come together to work towards a common goal, to put aside their differences towards a common goal. That's how the entire rebellion is different groups of people that actually don't get along, and that's what Rogue One was so amazing about showing. That with Saw, those guys were the Black Panthers, right?
They were the extremists.
The extremists, right? They were the weathermen, you know? So you have all these people kind of working together. But, so a good example is when they're on, I think it's Crete, and Finn is flying towards those other walkers, right?
Oh yeah, the snow planet or the salt planet. Rather.
Yeah, and so Finn, his character arc is he starts out as he's a coward. He's actually trying to run at the beginning of it, right? And it's only because of Rose that he stays, right? And he doesn't even like her romantically,
right?
But he stays because he realizes he's been caught. So he needs a sort of redemption. And so while he's flying towards that, it's like, oh my God, I actually went, they're going to kill him. This is going to be amazing, because to kill a major character in the middle of a trilogy, and I remember thinking to myself, this totally redeems part of this movie for me. And then Rose comes in, knocks him off,
right,
and goes, it's not about killing or hating the people that we blah blah blah. It's about saving the ones we love. And I almost went, if the other stuff didn't happen, Rose, you literally just got the rest of the rebellion killed.
Right.
That is one of the dumbest plot holes, dude. When they go off to that cool planet that's like a Vegas type thing, that thing was completely worthless. Just to throw in, well, I once was blah blah blah. We should treat the animals nice. And if it wouldn't have been for the fact that General H?
Hux.
No, not General Hux. The girl. Haldo. If her and her number one pilot, Poe Dameron, if they wouldn't have, I'm not going to tell you what our plan is because you're a hothead. Well, if you know he's a hothead, what do you think he's going to end up doing? So he sends him on a plan that turns out to be completely worthless.
Right.
You know? And it's like, they did it. What they're doing is, instead of having great storytelling, they're coming up with these things like, we need a lightsaber here. Here's a lightsaber, to just propel the story forward. And the problem is, man, to me, is that they're trying to satisfy someone that doesn't exist. They're trying to satisfy, dude, everybody. It's like, do you remember when they would talk about why a lot of sitcoms sucked? Well, we're playing to middle America. That was a fictional person. There's no middle America. Right. There's just people. Right? So they're trying to play to this middle ground and satisfy everybody. So you just make it a big amusement park ride. And that's what I have. That's the problem that I have with it.
Okay, my thing with the Last Jedi is, and I will say that Last Jedi is this: I will defend most things that happened between Luke, Rey, and Kylo Ren, because that stuff I legitimately enjoyed. I liked them diving into the Force. I honestly liked the idea of curmudgeon Luke after he had failed to to keep his nephew from turning to the dark side of the Force. And I know some people have taken gripes with the whole idea of that it was out of character for him to want to kill his nephew. But and I know it was kind of a brief line, but they did explain that he even said it himself, that the legend of Luke Skywalker got so big that it went to his own head. So I understood that whole progression, and I was fine with that stuff. But everything that happened on Canto Bight with Finn, Rose, and Poe, and everything that happened on the ship.
You could have easily rewritten that whole thing, dude, of Luke Skywalker and still attain the failure part, right? Because his failure...
you could have. Yeah.
The failure part should have been, hey, I tried to train Kylo, I failed. Why did he fail? Dude, this is, and I kind of talked to you before about this, is that what Luke has realized, and this is what I think would make the genius of Luke, is that part of the problem with the Force is our interpretations of it. We've been too rigid. meaning that something is light and dark.
And there's no middle ground.
There's no gray. There's no middle ground. So to me, if Luke would have actually taken it upon himself to find a middle ground, the middle path, Buddhism literally is, I think something is part of Buddhism is called the middle path. And if he would have tried to find that, then it would have explained why he failed. Because Kylo is so powerful and already embodies, that the light and the dark, that giving this newfound knowledge to somebody instead of training them in old ways resulted in someone that can easily be tempted to the dark side of the Force.
Right.
Then you can have what's his face, the old guy that got killed,
Snoke.
Yeah, in such a stupid way, but Snoke influencing Kylo. But then here's how you can do. Remember at the end when he basically teleports, what he could say to Rey, and we all would have went, "What the fuck?" He should have said, "I have found," talked to her about his failure, right? And then also said something, and he could have mimicked a line that was in the prequels that Sidious says is, I have found a path. I have come upon powers that some would deem unnatural." And you would have been like, what the fuck is he talking about? Sorry if I'm swearing on
No, it's okay.
But what the hell is Luke talking about? And then when he can teleport at the end and comes back into the Force, and they cut out the scene of him, dude, why we're confused about why he can even do this is because there's no explanation for that. And then also in one of the deleted scenes, they show him he had cut himself off from the Force. That's why no one could find him.
Right.
Because then it makes sense why no one can find him. Remember have you seen the deleted scene?
No.
Dude, he goes in, he finds out the news about Han. He's standing there. And dude, for the first time in years, he connects back to the Force. And now it makes sense why Leia can feel him, and she looks up. They never cut that part from the movie. She's feeling Luke again. And then it goes dark, and you can see he cuts himself back off. And then
I wonder why that ended up on the cutting room floor.
Dude, because they're idiots, man. They don't care about the thing is only moving the story forward. And they don't care about actual development, man. If they did, there's so much there that you can do in a small amount of time. And then it makes sense why he's scared of Rey. Because, dude, there hasn't been anyone like Rey since Anakin.
Right.
That you cannot explain why, if she comes from nobody.
Okay. There's one, I hate to cut you off, but there's one, finish your point, and then I gotta make my own point.
No, that's it right now.
So one of the biggest gripes I have, that a lot of people have with The Last Jedi, is the big reveal, because they built it up, who are Rey's parents, and then it's revealed her parents were just a couple of drunks who sold her off so they could have some booze money.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was okay with that. I was 100% okay with that, not even just because of the whole, theory or what mindset that some people are saying of that it is just to show that anybody can come from nothing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Which is a good sentiment. I like it. Don't get me wrong. It's just based on all the other fan theories I was hearing, it was the only one that was going to make sense. Because everyone was going, oh, she's really Obi-Wan Kenobi's granddaughter, which maybe, okay, sure. And then I remember hearing people say, maybe she's Qui-Gon Jinn's granddaughter. I'm like, that's fucking stupid.
No, I actually don't mind that because we've already established that with Anakin that he's an anomaly.
He was an immaculate conception.
Yeah, he's an anomaly.
And that's what I say to people too. It's like if you are willing to let that stand in the canon, you have to let that.
But it's also it's no different than we'll see this with geniuses, right? Mm-hmm. In life. With geniuses, they tend to either come from one of two backgrounds. It's either their families, both the mother and the father, are geniuses. Then they have a child. That kid ends up being a genius. Or it's an anomaly where some kid is born into a family. He's a certifiable genius, but his parents they're not the brightest people. He just happens to be, he was the greatest combination of them. So it's the same thing.
Right.
But to me, to build it up and then to have the pain of knowing that because everyone else has this kind of backstory or whatever, and to know that she doesn't come from anything, dude, that's perfectly fine.
I was fine with that.
And I actually, the the guy that I loved, dude. By the end, I started really liking Kylo.
Yeah,
I think Kylo Ren is the most well-developed character and the most interesting character. Rey is still. I don't care about her enough. I just don't. There's nothing. There's nothing going on internally enough for me to latch onto it. The same thing with Poe. Poe, there's nothing. Finn, I don't care about. But Kylo, there's something there.
right.
And I think Kylo also wants to find a new way. Think about, why would you go and kill your master?
Mm-hmm.
You know? Because I think he also wants to begin something new and get rid of the old.
Right.
So I think you do that. Dude, all it is the basic, that's what I mean is, I think Last Jedi will go down is the greatest movie, the greatest Star Wars movie with potential that didn't live up to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it could have been. It doesn't take that much rewriting to make that movie incredible and touch upon everything and still make it a fun ride for people.
I say that Star Wars The Last Jedi is a movie filled with sheer brilliance, except for when it's not.
Yeah, it's because it's like watching somebody not reach their potential.
Right, exactly. My thing with Rey is I don't mind the character, but I get what you're saying. It's just I feel that one complaint a lot of people have about her is that she has no flaws, and I would disagree with that. I think she has had one massive flaw.
Patience.
And that was the point of, okay, then we're going to go with 2 then.
Oh, what's yours?
My problem was she couldn't let the past go.
Oh.
That's what I got from it, because
That's a great one.
If you remember in the first movie, if you remember in The Force Awakens, which, by the way, I liked it when I first saw it. I don't care that it's a total rehash of the very first movie. Don't care. I was okay with. Would have liked to seen something different? Yeah, but they got me with the whole nostalgia thing.
Once again, there's only a few things that you actually need to change in The Force Awakens, and it's a great movie.
Exactly. But at any rate, so she's going on and on and on about how, like, she's waiting for somebody to come pick her up back on Jakku, and everyone's like, no one's coming for you. And even it carries over into the next one a little bit, where she's, like, still trying to wait for her parents and find her parents and wonder who her parents are, and then finally it's revealed they're no one. And then at that point, when she finally, like, hears that her parents weren't anybody of any significance and she just breaks down, that's when she finally lets go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that I am glad Yoda, the Yoda character that they had, that could have been cool.
I didn't like the puppet. I didn't like the actual puppet.
Yeah, it didn't even look like the Yoda from the OT.
No.
I go, how can you mess that up?
I wasn't too crazy about it, but it's one of those things where I really, really liked the idea. It maybe could have been executed just a little bit better, in my opinion, that whole scene.
And it was cool to see Luke use a new power. But the reason why I think people were upset with that part is because there wasn't an explanation. Like I said, I've found powers that some would deem unnatural. Mimics the line. Now we get an idea, but we have no clue. We're left in the dark of what he can do.
That is true, but for me personally, can we just call it what it is? The Force is just magic. That's really what it is. It was just George Lucas's way of calling something magic without actually calling it magic. You know, that's the way I've always looked at it.
Well, I kind of always looked at it as tapping into the thing that is greater than you and becoming part of it. And the more you can tune into it, the more you can use it for good or bad.
I hate midichlorians.
And that's why I said, going back to the whole Hitler, say Martin Luther King thing, is that it's tapping into an energy, but it's an energy that you can use for good or bad.
Exactly.
And to me, the dark side of the Force is when you get rid of, like, the light side to me is all the good things, patience, logic, trying to, be just well-reasoned, where the dark side is a shorter path, to get what you want. Like, think about it. What did Hitler want to do? In the end, he wanted to rebuild Germany. But he wanted to do it so quickly that the only way that he could do it, the way to make it nice, was destroying people. And to me, that's the dark side.
Right.
To using destructive means to attain your goals. Instead of like, look at the Jedis. The Jedis were trying to take the slow path, and knowing that, like, love, same thing with love, dude. Love takes longer to change people.
Right.
Hate accomplishes a lot more. Fear accomplishes a lot more in life quickly.
Right. But the point I was trying to get at, though, is when it comes to seeing somebody use, like, crazy force powers and things like that, I kind of just shrug it off. This is me personally. Like, I don't need a deeper explanation. I just accept the fact that the Force works in mysterious ways, if you will.
No. But that's the thing. We would have accepted it. It's just a little line. Like, because we have to know. We as an audience cannot know that he has read some books, right? Or it's just a little line. It would kind of let us know, like, okay, it's the same thing when Leia became the witch, floating through space. And we go, that actually, and it would have made a greater impact knowing that she's passed away, right? It would have made, dude, could you imagine, you talked about Hoth, right? Mm-hmm. And you said it was amazing that they opened it up with their biggest set pieces. What if basically the opening of that movie is Kylo Ren locking onto his mother, right? We build up to that, locking onto his mother, disengaging, and then those other fighters come in and destroy it, and she's now dead. And now he has to live with the fact that he has chosen the dark side of the Force, and because of his own choices, he is set into motion that he is literally destroying everybody that cared about him, dude. He's destroyed his father, right? Killed his father. Now he's killed his mother to the point where he's set into so much motion that he literally can't stop it. Right. That would have added another layer. And then also, if you kill her, she really doesn't do anything the rest of the film.
Not really, no.
She's just there to go, strong female character. And you're like, no, that would have been awesome. You kill her. And then you have Holdo come in, another self-sacrificing character. Right? You have these people that are set up, and then now it means so much when they're down to this small little group at the end. Leia's dead. Holdo is died. Luke is dead. Everyone is just dead. And
we still got Chewie.
We still got Chewie.
Not
eating the little furry people. But yeah, you could do these things. But, I was talking to one of the kids, and he goes, I don't like Rogue One. And I was like, why? Why is that? I'm like, I love that movie. He goes, I hate it because everyone dies. And I went, and that's exactly what Disney understands. You can't have too many people die. You have to make sure with their tentpole franchise that people leave with a big smile on their face. You have to. You got to sell toys, man.
Yeah, but that was still a Disney movie.
It's just a Disney. Well, that's the thing. It's just it's no different. It's not. That's what I mean. The interpretation. It's different than the Star Wars.
One thing I don't like hearing, actually. I mean, I get where people are coming from with it, but I don't like hearing people blaming, saying that these movies are different, feel so different because Disney.
No. They have different aims.
I get what you're saying. Hold on. I'm just trying to simply say that I think it's a misguided anger towards Disney, just because at the end of the day, Disney is just doing what any other movie studio would be doing had they the rights to Star Wars. I'm 100% convinced of that.
No, dude, I completely agree. It's Harrison Ford said something, and I'll use Harrison Ford's because he said that Star Wars no longer belongs to George Lucas. Mm-hmm. He said Star Wars belongs to the fans.
Right.
And Star Wars is now no different than McDonald's. So what was he really saying?
Either you're going to get something that everybody loves, or you're going to get something that's absolutely disgusting.
No, what he was saying is we're going to give you a product that's just good enough for you to keep coming back.
I guess.
Dude, look at what Mark Hamill had to publicly apologize about what he said about The Force Awakens and Rian Johnson's. Dude, they know these movies are for the most part, utter shit. But that's the thing. It's because they're there for a goal, right? The goal is to make money. Dude, they make so much more money off of retail.
Oh, yeah. No, so I don't
have a problem with Disney doing that. I'm just, dude, they're in the business of making money.
Yeah.
But I'm not, but I can still get upset with them on an artistic level.
No, and I get that. What I was simply trying to say is, it's just, I don't think it's entirely should all be pointed at Disney. I think it's just because time has changed. The way movies are made and the way the industry is run has changed so drastically. So, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say, though. It's just that the movies are made so differently these days that obviously there's going to be something different. I mean, I get it to a point. I do agree with it to a specific point. I'm just simply saying, had Warner Brothers gotten their hands on Star Wars, I don't think we would be seeing anything any different.
Dude, the movies are only made to make money.
They're toy commercials. That is really what they are to me at the end of the day, and I'm fine with it.
And they weren't originally that way. It's just when they found out that they could make money, right? And so I don't fault Disney for that.
Right.
They're a business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's why people always forget the business part of show business.
Right.
You know, but it is just a business, but it looks cool.
Right.
That's it. And so I don't, but I look at it and I go, yeah, but on an artistic level, dude, they suck.
It's a similar argument people try to make with the Marvel movies. The big argument everybody has.
I'm not a big comic book fan, so I don't know what it's like.
Okay, so the big argument everybody has with the Marvel movies, and even one of the two big ones. One of the big ones is their villains aren't that great, which for the most part I could agree with. You get a few good ones every once in a while, like Killmonger in Black Panther was actually a good villain. Ego in the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 was a good villain. Thanos is hoping to pay off and become this great villain. But at any rate, the point I'm trying to get at, though, is one of the big complaints everybody has about the Marvel movies is that they follow a very similar formula each and every time. To which I'm like, yeah, I see your argument, and I'm not going to disagree with you because these movies do have a bit of a formula, but that formula works, and I still like the formula. I don't mind it. Even though it doesn't bother me.
No, that's why I look at it and I go, it's no different than Olive Garden or whatever, man. It's just, and they find a formula, and there's no reason. The only thing they care about is money. Right. That's it. So if a formula works, they are not going to change anything unless their formula is making them less money.
Right.
And what they've done with Star Wars, it's actually, you can kind of see it. Disney has basically just said, hey, why don't we take what we've done with Marvel and try to apply that same thing? Like this, look at the types of humor that are expressed in the newer Star Wars movies versus the old ones.
I will admit,
very different. But it appeals to, real quick, it appeals to people in all different countries, and it appeals to children.
Right.
Before, it was very dry and sarcastic.
Right. Which I liked. I loved the dry and sarcastic
Same
humor.
here.
Yeah. I mean, I will admit that opening scene in The Last Jedi was funny with Poe busting Hux's balls like it was some sort of prank phone call. I didn't mind it, but however, I will admit two things about it. Number one, it really did feel like a joke that would come out of Iron Man. It really did feel like something Tony Stark would be saying. And number two, probably could have used maybe 30 seconds less of it.
Yeah.
And you would have just been like, fine. Like, other than that,
that's it. Basically, what I thought that they did is that they took everything that I heard people that had a gripe about, right, when it came to The Force Awakens. I feel like they just took everything that people didn't like about The Force Awakens and then doubled down upon it. They're like, oh, you don't like plot holes? We're gonna have a ton of them. You don't like this terrible sense of humor? We're gonna have so much more.
You see, I think I think there could be an argument made for the reverse of it, in the sense that people didn't like The Force Awakens because it was too similar to A New Hope, and now this movie is just the complete opposite, out of left field. Like nobody expected this.
Oh no! I'm just talking about like the humor.
Like the more minutiae things.
Yeah.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
And lack of character development, all of that. But that's the thing. That's what's cool, man. It's like, Disney, go make your money, and guess what? There's fans out there, and those fans have already. There's one fan, and I'm gonna get a copy of it. He's already re-edited The Force Awakens, and I can't wait to see people that are big Star Wars fans go, oh, this makes it pretty decent. Like cutting out, dude. Did you know it was a rewrite when Poe Dameron goes to the ground right in the beginning of Force Awakens when they're on that desert planet, and he goes, "I talk first, you talk first," like it was Abbott and Costello.
Yeah,
that was a rewrite because originally when he went down there, dude, it was so dark, and that it was too much for people, and they were like, "Dude, we have to lighten the moment." That was a rewrite. A lot of the humor that was added in were rewrites, and I didn't know that until later on.
I didn't hate that line for the record.
The what?
I didn't hate that line for the record. Who talks first? I talk first. You talk first.
Yeah, that was added in. A lot.
Now I get what you're saying. I get your argument. I'm just saying, for me personally, didn't mind it. I don't mind some dry humor thrown in there, the kind of humor thrown in every once in a while. But I will say, if you get too much of it, then we got a problem.
You know what actually would have been cool too, man?
What?
That I would have loved in The Force Awakens, and it would have brought me almost to fucking tears.
What?
If Kylo never took off his helmet until his father asked him to, because it would also mimic it's a father-son moment. It would mimic Luke and Anakin.
Isn't that basically how it went down?
No, dude, he took off his helmet earlier in the film.
Oh, right, to taunt Rey. That's right.
And if he would have kept it on the entire time
until that moment,
and have that moment, you would have been just gutted, dude. Because now it's just a father-son.
Yeah, true. All right, so we got to start wrapping things up. But before we do, let's just make this real quick. Are you looking forward to Solo? Because we're on the horizon of it coming out.
No.
As a whole, no. I just don't. I personally just don't. I'm not looking forward to it because we've pretty much already gotten Han Solo's story. I don't need to see more of Han Solo's story.
Yeah, it actually leaves more to the imagination. It's better to leave it to the...
Right. For me personally, when it comes to this whole, like, every other year when they're doing, like, a prequel thing, you know, such as Rogue One and now Solo is... I'd like it if they did more what they did with Rogue One, which is shine some light on a story that needed to be told, versus Han Solo's story doesn't really need to be told. You know what I mean?
Not at all. It doesn't.
No, if they did... Because in all honesty, and I know how much people love him, but I've gone on record on this podcast saying I don't drink from the Boba Fett Kool-Aid. All right? I don't. I get why everybody likes him. I mean, I won't deny it. He's probably the coolest looking action figure ever. Period. I won't deny that. He really is. And I got the whole. Let me put it this way: if he had just existed in Empire Strikes Back, I would have understood the arguments for Boba Fett more. It's the way he goes out. First off, it's the way he goes out more than anything.
Yeah,
it's pathetic.
It's so pathetic.
It's pathetic. I often say to my friends, he gets thrown out in what could have just as easily been a Three Stooges homage.
Yeah,
it pretty much was.
Actually, you can kind of see the sense of humor change in Return of the Jedi.
Exactly, which is why
But he also knew, because in Return of the Jedi, dude, the reason why they came up with the Ewoks is because they knew they could sell dolls to kids.
Oh yeah,
that's when it started to change.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Boba Fett. But here's what I think would be cool: is having a thing about bounty hunters in general.
You see, that's what I mean. And obviously, Boba Fett would be a very centric.
Yes.
He would be a very centric character. But yeah, shine some light on, say, like IG-88, Boss Skaggs, etc., etc. Or even, I know you didn't watch Star Wars Clone Wars, the cartoon series. Did
I got
you?
through half of it.
Okay, did you? There was the bounty hunter. There was the character Cad Bane. He was like the blue guy with the big sombrero looking head.
I'd have to.
Yeah, he was actually he was a bounty hunter, and he was actually a really cool character. So all I'm saying is, bring some. I want to see some of those characters come to screen, because there was a character, Ahsoka Tano, who has become a huge fan favorite for everybody who watched both the Clone Wars and Rebels, and everybody wants her to get her own movie, which I would be 100% down for. Rosario Dawson said she wants to play the character, and I'm like, yes, fuck yes, get Rosario Dawson, put her in orange makeup, make this shit happen. Let's do it. All right, I think that's actually going to do it for us on this hour. Unless, Chris, you have anything else you want to add?
No, I think it's. I had so much fun, and it's so great. I didn't even know we were going to talk about Star Wars, and I even had my buddy called me late last night to talk about Star Wars. So literally, I was falling asleep, and he called me.
Nice, and I'm sure that woke you right up, huh?
It did, because he was, whenever he calls me late at night, I know he's watching Empire.
And he was watching Empire.
Drinking alone.
Should have called me. I would have watched Empire with him. All right, Chris, do you have anything you want to plug? Any shows? Any Any social media you want to plug right now?
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Okay. Everybody knows where to find us. I'm on Instagram, Kyle Daley Comedy, Kyle Daley 1987 on Twitter, and the Daily Chat Podcast on both Twitter and on Facebook. Give us a shout. Chris, thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
As always, want to have you back on the show again at some point soon. We're going to take off now, everybody. Bye. Hey guys, Kyle here. Just wanted to say that this Sunday, April 8th, I'm going to be at Geeky Tees in Burbank, California for the Cosplay Comedy Show. I'm going to leave a link in the description of this episode for you guys to click on so you can buy tickets. Be sure to do that. Thanks. Have a good one. Bye.
Well, that was fun. Who's for Chinese?